Durek Verrett. Whinging like Meghan. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Back in 2022, we had the Whinge Fest, which was Harry and This One's Wife, their Netflix docu-series, which was mainly grudge-watched. Netflix are at it again. This time, there is the documentary in relation to Princess Märtha Louise of Norway and the dodgy shaman Durek Verrett. They have their Netflix series. Undoubtedly, their series is likely to be more entertaining than that of the Prince of Pink Pancakes and his handler, because quite simply, the Norwegian princess is a kind person but nuts, and Durek Verrett is an unpleasant narcissist who's also nuts. And their fruitcake behaviours at least will provide considerable entertainment to people compared to the whinge fest and pity party that was engaged in by this one's wife. Nevertheless, one escapable aspect of their behaviours is the victimhood mentality that they both exhibit. All narcissists have a victim mentality, but certain narcissists trade upon it to a much greater extent. You see, in their world, the narcissism always causes them to believe that it's not their fault and they're the victim of the poor behaviour of other people. Even though you can see the evidence shows that they are the problem, the distortion field of their narcissism alters their perspective so that that evidence is viewed in a different way, causing the narcissist to believe that they are the one that has been hard done to. Accordingly, they will deny that they've done anything wrong, or if they can't maintain an appropriate denial, their behaviour was justified because in their world you were horrible to them. And in their world, you are horrible to them. Your failure to do something justifies their unpleasant response to you. You argued with them, even though they caused the argument in the first place. Their narcissism revises history to forget about their instigation of the argument, so you become the instigator, and therefore they are the victim of your unprovoked and unnecessary attack. And that justifies them shouting back at you. And we see a series of examples of this victim mentality from Durek Verrett, who whinges on just like this one's wife. As reported in the Daily Mail, controversial American shaman Durek Verrett has taken a swipe at Norway's King Harald V and Queen Sonja as he admitted they thought everything I did was wrong in a new documentary. How do you know that? Can you read minds? Well, he probably thinks that he can. But notice again the absolute language of the narcissist. Everything I did was wrong. Now, King Harald and Queen Sonja are popular. Queen Sonja came from a commoner background, and Harald, he was a keen yachtsman. Sonja was involved in lots of outdoor pursuits. Many Norwegians have admiration for them and undoubtedly have been shaking their heads and thinking, what on earth has gone wrong with their children? Princess Märtha Louise has married this con artist and their son has been hooked by another narcissist with his wife. They must be wondering what on earth went wrong. And the fact is that notwithstanding the decency and popularity of King Harald and Queen Sonja, along comes this narcissist who immediately starts taking potshots at them. Durek also questioned why nothing was initially done to protect him from racist online attacks after his engagement to Princess Märtha Louise. Sounds familiar to somebody else that we know, doesn't it? Whinge, whinge, whine, whine. Why didn't you do something to protect me? You're all racists. I've been subjected to racist attacks. once again using the colour of skin as a means of deflection and nullification of threat to control, and assuming that everything has to be done because the world revolves around him. Durek, 51, who married the 53-year-old princess last August amid public outcry over his controversial past, said that it wasn't until this one's wife's interview with Oprah Winfrey that the king checked up on him. I suspect that's a revision of history. The self-styled spiritual guru claimed the only reason Harold, who's now aged 85, reached out was out of concern that he would be the next one on Oprah in a new Netflix docuseries about the couple's relationship. That's bullshit. But once again, you have a narcissist revising history, smearing a monarch who is well loved by his people, who has only ever shown service to those people. But because along comes Verrett with his huge chip on his shoulder, he states, the only reason he reached out to me was because he was fearful that he was going to be next. Probably what happened was that Verrett made threats that he would expose based upon false accusations, and there's a classic case of projection. Rebel Royals, an unlikely love story, takes an intimate look at the love story between Durek and Marta, and the half-reptilian and bisexual shaman, magical thinking, sexual fluidity, lack of boundary recognition, in a production that makes this one's wife and Harry seem tame. During the docuseries, the Hollywood shaman took a jab at royal protocol, because that, of course, is a threat to control, claimed he was often bored at royal events, self-absorbed, all about him, because conversation was flat, and fundamentally disagreed with the Norwegian way of life. Well, you've married a Norwegian, you have to accept that you would have to embrace some aspects of Norwegian life, which, of course, complaining about it is rather entertaining because Norway and its life are certain things which are often ranked in the top with regard to standard of living, happiness, wealth, contentment, safety, etc. Norway regularly finds itself at the top of the rankings or near the top of the rankings in relation to those things. So you might say that the Norwegian people have been doing something rather correct about their way of life. But of course, along comes the all-knowing Durek, who knows better than anybody else. Durek Verrett, this is boring. Conversation's flat. I fundamentally disagree with your way of life. That shows the haughty grandiosity of this tool who decides that he knows better than a nation and its people. And not only that, but a nation and its people that are largely content, a successful nation, and as I mentioned, often to be found at the top of or near the top of the rankings with regard to a variety of lifestyle measurements. He found Marta's parents hated my clothes, whinge, whinge, after he showed up to their first meeting wearing a kimono and cowboy boots. Well, they are entitled to an opinion. You probably look like a grade A prat, and they may well have not liked your clothes, but I suspect that we would have been too polite to have actually said something, and it's the paranoia, once again, of this narcissist believing that they've taken against him from the very beginning. I mean, pretty much everything I did was wrong, he said, and they would always let Marta know that I was wrong. Paranoia, pity play, victim mentality. Durek did not feel accepted by his future in-laws. I wonder why. As he said, it wasn't like, welcome to our family, we love you, we get you. Well, first of all, that shows a sense of entitlement, that he automatically assumes that they would welcome him with open arms. They will have been horrified, not because he's a black man, they'll have been horrified at the fact that along comes this shaman charlatan who has taken their somewhat naive daughter, poured nonsense in her ears, and that he does have a disreputable past. Any parent is likely to have reacted with horror and been not particularly inclined to say, welcome to our family. It was like, why are you with this guy? Durek continued, showing, of course, notorious lack of self-awareness. Most people would say to themselves, why on earth are you with this individual, given his past, given his behaviours. That is a common sense reaction to this individual, but of course he can't process that because it's a threat to control. Durek, who is of Norwegian, Indian and Haitian descent, also said he felt extremely judged in Norway, paranoia, and went into deep, deep depressions, pity play, after being bombarded with hateful messages about his race on Instagram. He claimed to have experienced racism at a royal dinner in Denmark after being questioned about his African heritage when a guest pointed out the portraits on the walls were of people who enslaved your people. Durek added members of the Norwegian royal family would look at me like I was crazy when I said there was racism in the new show that was released today. Once again, paranoia, victim mentality. He said his in-laws would do nothing to help me against offensive coverage, including when a publication used a racial slur in a story about Verrett. And it was only when Harry and this one's wife went into the press with Oprah did I get a message from the King saying, "Do you feel that we treated you the same way?" When I said yes, they were like, "Okay, we need to have a family discussion." And of course, my family was like, they don't want to have a discussion because they don't want to treat you that way. They want to have a family discussion because they're afraid you might be the next one on Oprah. Interestingly, we don't get, of course, to hear the side of the story from King Harold and his family. We just have the version of events that this individual, who thinks he's half reptile and believes that he has magical powers. I think I know who I'd believe. After their meeting with Durek, King Harold released a statement condemning the racist attitudes he had endured, as Prince Harry praised the monarch for leading by example. The indulgent documentary follows the couple, who got married in the picturesque Norwegian Visit Garanja last August, as they navigate a swirl of controversy while preparing for their nuptials. The documentary included footage of Durek looking bored at a Belgian equestrian event attended by Princess Astrid, as he admitted it was awkward adjusting to Marta's life. You knew that she was a princess, you knew that she was a member of the royal family, but you whinge about it, just like this one's wife did. Durek rolled his eyes while revealing he could never tell whether to call someone as Your Royal Highness or Your Majesty. It's not difficult to work out, it just shows that you're lazy, like this one's wife who couldn't be bothered to learn the words of the national anthem, and was even corrected by Belgium's princess when he addressed her incorrectly. "I quite admire your fashion sense, Your Majesty," he told Astrid, before she curtly replied, "Your Royal Highness." He criticised the controlled atmosphere at royal gatherings where attendees are expected to have certain mannerisms. As Durek said, "There's no slouching. You can't slouch in your chair." Well, why should you? You're an adult, not a 5-year-old. Fucking prick. In seemingly disparaging remarks, he added, "The conversations are not nuanced at all. It's very flat." Oh, so sorry. In comments that appear to echo this one's wife's sentiments about becoming a royal, Durek continued, "And so how do I be myself but also blend in with her life as a princess? Yes, make it all about you." The report then goes on about various complaints that this one's wife had. For instance, talking about being informally dressed in ripped jeans when she met the Prince and Princess of Wales for the first time. In Netflix's Harry and This One's Wife, she said, "They came over for dinner. I remember I was in ripped jeans and I was barefoot. I was a hugger. I've always been a hugger. I didn't realise that is really jarring for a lot of Brits." Well, as you know, the hugger utilises that as a means of assertion of control over individuals. And it's not because she's a caring person. Elsewhere, in Rebel Royals, Verrett, who was perceived by the Norwegian public and press as a con artist, revealed he was adamant he wanted a royal wedding because "I'm going to be a royal." Sense of entitlement, grandiosity. The shaman also asked his bride-to-be if he would have his own makeup artist for the wedding, explaining that he wanted his pictures to be popping, vanity, grandiosity. When Marta's engagement to the Los Angeles-based spiritual healer was announced in June 2022, the princess faced mounting pressure to renounce her title after Verrett's controversial beliefs were revealed. Months later, King Harold announced his daughter will not represent the royal household in any form, after the mother of 3 initially stepped down as a working royal in 2019. Although the monarch allowed Princess Martha Louise to retain her royal title, her father reiterated that she will not be allowed to use it in any future commercial partnerships with Verrett. Verrett faced swift backlash after he claimed cancer is a choice, lack of emotional empathy, and promoted a number of unfounded medical practices, including selling a $222 Spirit Optimizer medallion that he claimed helped him overcome COVID-19. Magical thinking. Last year, Durek made headlines after he was accused of assaulting Swedish father of two, Joachim Bostrom, in one of his spiritual sessions. Verrett has strenuously denial, the first line of the twin lines of the narcissistic defence, the claims, which he says were later dropped. This was after he admitted he made a mistake in sessions with 5 of his clients in audio recordings obtained by Norwegian newspaper Se og Hør. In the 3 voice messages, Verrett reveals he performed oral sex on one of his male clients, lack of boundary recognition, sexual fluidity, and helped a woman clean her vagina after she had violent sex with her partner. The shocking conversations took place with MTV star Eric Nies in 2020, who shared them with the paper in light of the recent allegations against Mr. Verrett. Mr. Nies' side of the conversation is not heard in the recordings. In one recording, the shaman can be heard saying, I did cross the line one time with, name redacted, I did. And it was a mistake, and I'm aware of that mistake. And I did cross the line when pulled out his cock. I should never have sucked his cock. I should have just left it and put the sheet back over it. But we finished with the session. I asked him, I said, do you want to go here? Martha Louise and Durek were introduced by friends in 2019 and have claimed to have known each other in a past life, specifically from days of ancient Egypt. Magical thinking. Eyebrows were raised when the princess first began dating Verrett, who holds some controversial and pseudoscientific views, including that cancer in children can be caused by being unhappy, grandiosity, lack of emotional empathy. In an interview with the BBC last year, Martha Louise praised her parents, King Harold and Queen Sonia, for keeping the dialogue open while she made her decision, and they worked out the details about how the arrangements would work. When asked about her decision in comparison with Prince Harry and this one's wife, who also stepped down as senior royals, she spoke about her amazing family, including King Harold and Queen Sonia, and how the dialogue between them has always remained open. The fact is that this excerpt taken from the Royal Rebels programme demonstrates the whinging mentality of this con man narcissist who has conned his wife and has conned various other people, showing in a range of behaviours that demonstrate that he is indeed a narcissist. See parts passing for the analysis. And he appears with this platform, which gives him the opportunity to talk about his life, and what does he do? Whinge, 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 just like this one's wife, complaining about the way that he's been treated, complaining about the way that people have dealt with him, complaining about the prejudices that he regards as reference towards him, and that how difficult it has all been for him. Naturally, the self-centered and self-absorbed attitude of the narcissist, just in a similar vein to that of this one's wife. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.